What if intelligent people don't disappear because they've stopped caring? What if they disappear because they finally notice something about people they can no longer pretend not to see? At first, nothing looks different. The same messages arrive, the same friends call, the same conversations happen. But something inside you has changed. You begin noticing who only contacts you when they need something, who celebrates with you, but becomes strangely distant when you succeed. Who says all the right words, while their actions quietly tell a different story. And once your mind begins recognizing those patterns, people may look exactly the same, but they no longer feel the same. Maybe you've already experienced it. You reply less often. You avoid conversations that once felt normal. You stop explaining yourself to people who seem committed to misunderstanding you. And slowly, your social circle begins to shrink. From the outside, it may look like you suddenly disappeared. People may call you distant, cold, antisocial. They may even assume you think you're better than everyone else. But psychology suggests something very different may be happening. As self-awareness grows, people often become more intentional about where they place their time, their attention, and their emotional energy. They don't necessarily stop loving people. They stop confusing familiarity with genuine connection. They stop measuring relationships by how long someone has been present and begin measuring them by how safe, honest, and mutual that presence actually feels. But this transformation rarely happens overnight. It happens one realization at a time, one conversation that leaves you strangely drained, one friendship that only survives when you keep giving, one moment when you finally understand that being surrounded by people is not the same as being understood by them. And that realization creates a question that can quietly transform your entire social life. Not, how many people know me? But, who actually sees me? Once that question appears, it becomes almost impossible to ignore. Because the first reason intelligent people begin disappearing has nothing to do with arrogance. It begins with a psychological ability that makes human behavior increasingly difficult to overlook: pattern recognition. And once your mind learns to read the patterns behind people's words, you may never experience your relationships the same way again. That ability has a name: pattern recognition. Most people look at others. Highly self-aware people eventually begin reading them. At first, life feels completely normal. People make you laugh. Conversations seem genuine. You believe what people say because you've never had a reason not to. Then, something quietly changes. You notice the smile that never reaches someone's eyes, the compliment that somehow feels more like competition, the friend who only remembers you when they need a favor, the person who says they're happy for you, yet slowly disappears the moment your life begins improving. Individually, none of these moments seem important, but your brain isn't collecting moments. It's collecting patterns. Psychologists call this pattern recognition. The more experience, the more emotional maturity, and the more self-awareness you develop, the faster your brain begins connecting behaviors that once seemed completely unrelated. Suddenly, people don't actually change. Your perception does. You begin seeing consistency where you once saw coincidence, intentions behind words, motives behind actions. And once your brain learns to recognize those patterns, it's almost impossible to unsee them. That's where the distance quietly begins. Not because intelligent people stop caring, but because they stop confusing attention with genuine connection. They stop asking, "Who likes me?" and begin asking, "Who consistently brings peace into my life?" That single shift changes almost every relationship, because protecting your peace slowly becomes more important than protecting someone else's opinion of you. But here's where most people completely misunderstand what happens next. People assume intelligent individuals disappear because they enjoy being alone. The truth is almost the exact opposite. They don't fall in love with loneliness. They begin falling in love with clarity, and that changes far more than their friendships. It changes the way they experience every conversation, every relationship, and eventually, themselves. The biggest misunderstanding begins here. Most people believe intelligent individuals slowly disappear because they dislike people. But psychology suggests something much more interesting. They don't become less social. They become more selective. Because once you begin recognizing emotional patterns, constant noise becomes surprisingly exhausting. Research in psychology suggests that people with higher levels of self-awareness often spend far more mental energy processing conversations, reading emotions, and interpreting social situations. While others hear words, they quietly notice intentions. While others enjoy the conversation, they notice the emotional dynamics underneath it. Who is seeking validation? Who is trying to impress? Who is quietly competing? Who genuinely listens? And who is simply waiting for their turn to speak? This level of awareness changes everything. A conversation that once felt exciting can suddenly feel predictable. A friendship that once felt close may slowly begin to feel one-sided. Even a crowded room can feel strangely empty. Have you ever experienced that? Being surrounded by people, yet feeling completely alone? Not because there aren't enough people, but because genuine connection becomes increasingly rare. This doesn't mean intelligent people believe they're better than everyone else. It means they stop measuring relationships by quantity and begin measuring them by quality. Instead of asking, how many people are around me, they begin asking, who actually brings peace into my life? And once that question becomes more important, their circle naturally becomes smaller. Not through rejection, but through intention. Then something even more surprising happens. Silence stops feeling uncomfortable. For many people, being alone feels like loneliness. But for highly self-aware people, solitude becomes something completely different. For the first time, there is enough quiet to hear their own thoughts, instead of everyone else's expectations. Modern psychology has repeatedly shown that healthy periods of solitude can improve self-reflection, emotional regulation, creative thinking, and long-term decision-making. That's why many intelligent people don't isolate themselves from the world. Instead of escaping the world, they quietly return to themselves. They begin reading more, thinking more deeply, questioning their own beliefs instead of automatically accepting someone else's. And little by little, something remarkable happens. They stop needing constant approval because they discover something far more valuable. Real confidence isn't built through applause. It's built through self-respect. That is the moment. Their priorities quietly begin to change. They no longer ask, how can I fit into this group? They begin asking, does this life actually reflect who I am becoming? And once that question takes root, there's almost no way back, because from that point on, walking away no longer feels like losing people. It begins to feel like finally finding yourself. But one final misunderstanding still remains, the one almost everyone gets wrong, because intelligent people rarely disappear overnight. They disappear one realization at a time. Here's the truth most people never see. Intelligent people rarely disappear overnight. They disappear one realization at a time. One day, they stop arguing with people who have already decided not to understand them. Another day, they stop chasing friendships that only exist when they're useful to someone else. Then, without making an announcement, without posting about it, without trying to prove a point, they quietly begin building a life that no longer depends on constant approval. From the outside, it looks sudden. People ask, why have you changed? Why don't you come around anymore? You used to be different. But inside, that decision has often been growing for months, sometimes even years. And this is where almost everyone gets it wrong. They assume intelligent people become distant because they think they're better than everyone else. In reality, they've simply become more intentional about where they invest their time, their attention, and their emotional energy. because all three are limited. And the people you allow into your life quietly shape the person you become. That's why protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's psychological self-respect. So if you've recently found yourself stepping back from certain people, don't immediately ask, am I becoming antisocial? Ask yourself something much more important. Am I running away from people? Or am I finally walking toward the life that truly reflects who I am? Because there is a profound difference. One is driven by fear, the other by clarity. Sometimes, the people who seem to disappear aren't getting lost at all. They're finally letting go of the noise that kept them from hearing themselves. They're choosing fewer conversations, but deeper ones. Fewer relationships, but healthier ones. Less approval, but far more self-respect. And maybe that's what real intelligence was never about. Not collecting more knowledge, not winning more arguments, not impressing more people, but learning where your mind belongs, where your energy is respected, and where you no longer have to become someone else just to be accepted. Because perhaps the moment everyone else believes you've disappeared may actually be the moment you finally come home to yourself.